I'm Rosa Mendez, and I'm here at the #1 Long Island broadcast, Monty and Pharaoh. I had the best time ever!
Hey, listen, Daddy, you're listening to the #1 broadcast, Monty and Pharaoh, Daddy, in Long Island. The best pro wrestling broadcast of all time, I think.
Jimmy, I got to tell you, man, it feels good to be back on YouTube. It was quite disappointing what happened to us, but we bounced back fairly quickly.
Well, what else would we do? We're almost at 5,000 subscribers.
Well, speaking of that, man, we need more members.
Okay.
What do you think we need to do to get the people of those 5,000 subscribers to come on and join the team as a Monty and the Pharaoh member?
Nudity is out of the question. Any other ideas?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But what I do have a few ideas.
Well, just like Prel, they should tell 2 friends, and they could tell 2 friends, and so on and so on. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Check out all our content.
But that's, you know what? That's why you're the star of the show, because guess what? Members get special content. Even we spoke about it. Pharaoh came to me one day and he goes, man, what's the deal? I can't even watch some of these videos because I'm not a member. And I said, there you go, Pharaoh. You got to be a member because this is what the members get. They get free content
Nice.
that none of the other fans that watch this show get.
That's right.
You get free autographs from some of these wonderful stars that come in, right?
Nice.
All you do is you go to the MNP webpage, or right, our own page, and shoot us an email and say, hey, man, I want a picture of Tommy Rich. I want a picture of whatever. And boy, that's on its way.
We give them their choice.
That's right.
We rock.
We do rock.
And you need to rock too. Join.
You know, he's
Go
the
with us.
best. You know,
You mentioned earlier that Ted was your closest friend in wrestling. Can you share with the fans what it was like the day when you found out that Ted passed?
Okay. I was doing my pitch business, and I was at a fair, and it was. I came home, and his girlfriend at the time, Jeannie, picked up the phone and quick dialed me. I was like number 2 on the phone, whatever his quick dial was to get me, and said Teddy's having a heart attack. And I was living in Long Beach at the time with Olga and I weren't married. She was my fiance. This was a month before I was getting married. He died in September. We were married in October. He was supposed to be my best man. And she says he's having a heart attack. And then she calls me back, he's dead.
Oh, my God.
So I took a shower. My wife and I went to the hospital. And I never been to this hospital in Elizabeth, but I knew exactly how to get there. No maps, just knew exactly how to get there. So it still hurts to today. There was no one like him. No one like him. I mean, the best.
I'm not going to ask you to make comments on specific incidents, but I would like you to hammer home for the folks at home who don't realize how tough in real life the Public Enemy were, especially Teddy.
Okay, Teddy was a NCAA Division I wrestler, got a full scholarship. 8 years he was a wrestler in college.
Wow.
Pro boxer.
Okay.
Went into a they were renting a ring in Atlantic City one day for a kickboxing show because he had the ring business, and they didn't have a heavyweight there. And his friend, he used to have a friend, Danny Thomas, used to set up the ring with him. Just happened to have a famous name. And they're overhearing this, and he says, "Well, the guy here with me, he can do it." He said, "Really?" So Teddy filled in for the heavyweight, and they said, "Well, we're not going to hurt you." Teddy knocked the son of a bitch right out.
Wow.
Knocked him out. So, I will say this publicly because a lot of people have said shit about Bradshaw and, they had a match on
That's what I was going to ask you.
Okay,
about.
you can ask this because you know what? I'm going to say it because I'm pissed that people say this shit. Ted Petty would knock Bradshaw and Simmons out without even a heartbeat. It wouldn't even be a question. He could knock them right out. So you're not going to beat up Ted Petty.
So these rumors are greatly exaggerated.
And Mike Durham is also a tough guy. Mike don't take shit either.
Right.
So what happened with that match was, and I heard Terry Taylor years ago do an interview or something I was watching on YouTube, that they knew something wasn't right. before Teddy went to WCW, he went with the WWF for a couple shows, did a little loop with them, and then Kevin got him guaranteed money to go to WCW. That's why he went down there, because New York, there's no guarantee. And that left a bad taste, he felt, because he was working with the Smoking Guns on a loop, and they worked out really well. Teddy was telling me everything worked out really well, everything was good, and it left a bad taste, I think, in New York's mouth. So I don't know what happened. He was jumping back and forth, wasn't going right with WCW. They went up to New York. They were doing really well with the Brood and all that stuff that they were doing, but it's not a great storyline. Terry Taylor's when it brought him back, because Terry was doing some stuff. And then whatever happened that night in the ring, I watched the match. You're giving someone your body. Let's be honest. You're giving them your body.
You're trusting them.
You're trusting them.
With your health and your life.
You're trusting them.
Yep.
And if these guys gave, they could work stiff. I mean, Teddy always told me the story the first time he was in the ring with Harlem Heat. They're working really hard in the studio. And they went into court and Teddy said to the guy, "Do I owe you any money?" And they laughed and they, because they thought that that's the way, because watching ECW, people believed, what they were doing. It is what it is. So when I watch that match, you're throwing guys around because they're letting you throw them around. Let's be honest. Teddy's 250 pounds. His partner was 270. You're not throwing a guy 280 pounds and doing all this stuff unless they want you to work with them.
Yeah.
So, and at that stage of his life, he was up in age. He was almost, probably 49 at that time, 48. And he doesn't want, if he goes back and knocks a guy out, what does that do for him? He knocks a guy out on TV, punches the guy out. What does that do for anybody? It's no good. So they went with it. But never ever think that you beat the shit out of the Public Enemy. Bubba Dudley, what's his name? You know what I'm talking
Bully
about.
Ray.
Bully Ray, whatever. He says that same shit that we beat up the Public Enemy. They didn't want. First of all, Big Dick Dudley, Alex and Teddy were very close.
Big Dick Dudley.
So,
Nice.
so Alex and Teddy were close. Teddy and Taz were close. I was there when all these guys were being trained by Johnny Rods.
Wow.
I see them all be trained. I didn't see that group, but I was, after high school, I used to watch Johnny train guys for, my whole senior year. So he says, the Public Enemy want to work. We beat the shit out of the Public Enemy. No way you'd beat the shit out of Ted Petty. No way in hell. You want to say it to do your tough act? You shouldn't say it. Teddy's no longer here to tell you, shut the hell up. That's
he's bragging over someone who's not even around.
It's not right. It's not right
Understood.
because I'm telling you didn't beat him up. You might have worked stiff with him, but you didn't beat up. You didn't force him to do anything. The Road Warriors, Joe and Mike, they loved Teddy. They both. I mean, at Teddy's funeral, Animal sent the most beautiful flowers. So I mean, they worked with everyone. The Bushwhackers, you name the team, they worked with them. You don't work with everyone, and then what? The Funks. Terry Funk adored Teddy. Adored him. I mean, they would work the boys in the back. Everyone talks openly now, so it is what it is. It was years ago. After the match they did in the ring, they went back to work the boys in the locker room.
I know Teddy's not here to speak for himself, but since you were so close to him, I have to ask you, did Teddy have any regrets that they didn't get? Listen, in ECW, you know how they were huge.
Okay.
In ECW, did he have any regrets that wasn't somehow able to translate to the bigger companies?
No. Okay. No, it is what it is.
Okay.
Everyone, it's a business.
Yeah.
Teddy knew exactly we know what was going on. It was a small company. Paul and him and Todd were just doing what they can do. They only had the ECW arena that had TV. And Paul never got the next spot.
Right.
And there's only so much you can make with Paul.
Johnny and Rocko just, hit a political wall kind of at the end of the day when it comes to the inside of the business to try to get further, or was it, were they cock-blocked?
Teddy was older. No, Teddy was older at this. Don't forget, Teddy,
Right.
He didn't make it until he was later on.
Right, right.
He was in his 40s as Rocko Rock.
He was killing himself. Just killing himself.
And the funny thing is, when he was the Cheetah Kid, he would do all those spots and everything. No one wanted to work with him back then. The only one worked with him was a guy named Mike Kalua. He wrestled as King Kalua because Mike was strong enough to catch him. So we would have Cheetah Kid versus King Kalua in a lot of shows because not too many guys wanted to work that style. Years later, everyone's doing that stuff.
Wow, that's funny.